If you had asked me that morning what I expected from the day, I'd have said something safe, maybe a client meeting, a lukewarm cup of coffee, and Ashley, my wife, texting me about dinner reservations at that overpriced Mediterranean place downtown. What I didn't expect was to step into the prelude of a Shakespearean comedy, if Shakespeare were a sarcastic divorcee with trust issues. She texted me mid-morning. Dinner tonight? Just the two of us. Important. No emojis, no love you, just cold words in a gray bubble. That's when I should have known. Ashley never missed a chance to throw a heart emoji around like confetti at a New Year's party. Something was off. Still, I didn't suspect anything. Not yet. If anything, I thought she might want to talk about the house renovations. Or maybe, just maybe, she wanted to patch things up. We've been off lately. Not fighting, just muted. Like a song playing in the next room that you can't quite make out anymore. I even changed my shirt. That's how optimistic I was. Navy blue, button down. The one she always said brought out my eyes. Turns out, it just made me easier to spot when I walked straight into her little trap. The restaurant was all glass and mood lighting, the kind of place where every dish had microgreens and the wine list needed a glossary. Ashley waved at me from a corner booth like we were high school sweethearts reuniting after decades apart. Next to her sat a man I'd never seen before, wearing a grin that made my knuckles itch. Logan, she said, gesturing across the table. This is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work. He extended a hand, confident, polished, like a man used to taking things that weren't his. Pleasure, man. I've heard a lot about you. I took the seat across from them, slow and careful. Yeah? Hope she kept it PG. Ashley laughed. Too loud. Too long. Chase smirked like he was already 2 steps into a game I hadn't realized we were playing. So, I said, scanning their faces. What's the occasion? Chase leaned forward, folding his hands like a life coach about to give me bad news wrapped in self-help buzzwords. Let's not waste time, Logan. You've got 2 options. He said it like he was offering me a cocktail. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. Ashley didn't even blink. She smiled. I smiled too, because in that moment, I understood exactly what kind of night this was going to be. And it wasn't about dinner. Now, let me be clear, I'm not the kind of guy who flies off the handle. I don't do drama. I'm more, grit your teeth and deal with it than flip a table in public. But even a calm man can read the room. In this room? It reeked of setup, candles, wine, and Chase already seated like he was expecting applause. That wasn't a dinner, it was a curtain call. So, I said, folding my hands just like him. This is the part where you break into a monologue? Tell me how I never understood her. How you're her real soulmate. Chase chuckled, the way guys do when they think they're about to win something. Ashley just kept twirling her wine glass like it was a nervous habit, except her face didn't look nervous. It looked relieved. Logan, she started, we didn't want to do this like this. Right, I cut in. You just thought a nice Pinot Noir and public humiliation would soften the blow? Chase leaned back, real comfortable now. She deserves to be happy. That's the part that always gets me. These guys, the side characters who strut in halfway through your story and think they're the protagonist, they always say that. She deserves to be happy. Like I'd spent 10 years trying to make her miserable. Like I was some footnote in the love letter he was writing with my ink. I'm not going to make a scene, I said, pushing back from the table. I'm not going to argue, or beg, or cry. Ashley blinked, like that surprised her. Chase smiled. So you're leaving quietly? I stood, adjusted my cufflinks, looked him square in the eye, and said, No, Chase. I'm leaving intentionally. Then I walked out calm, straight-backed, not a single word to Ashley. Because the moment you see the knife in your back, the smartest thing you can do is stop turning around for hugs. Outside, I stood on the sidewalk for a full minute, just breathing. People walked by, couples laughing, the smell of garlic and exhaust in the air. The world kept spinning. Mine had just cracked. My phone buzzed. Ashley's name lit up the screen. You didn't have to act like that. You embarrassed yourself. No apology. No remorse. Just a cold line of blame. That's when it hit me, not that she'd chosen someone else. No. The real betrayal? She'd already rehearsed this scene. Planned it. Dressed it up in candlelight and Cabernet. She wanted me to walk into it blind so she could watch me fumble in front of her new prize like a man being handed his own pink slip. But here's the thing. I may have walked out of that restaurant empty-handed, but I still had something they didn't. I had time, and I had nothing left to lose. When I got home that night, everything looked the same. Same throw pillows she always adjusted just so. Same framed vacation photo by the door. Us in Cabo, her smiling like life couldn't get any better. But I didn't buy it anymore. Something felt off. Not wrong, just repurposed. Like the house had been lived in by someone else while I wasn't looking. I walked through each room, not searching, just absorbing. You know how you can't always see the lie, but you feel it in the walls? Our bedroom was too clean. The bed was made, corners tucked, sheets crisp. Ashley never made the bed. Said it was a waste of time. But tonight, it looked like a hotel room that had already been turned over for the next guest. I sat down at the edge, palms still red from clenching under that restaurant table, and just stared at nothing for a long time. Then my phone buzzed again. Ashley, you didn't have to do that. That's it. No concern. No explanation. Just disappointment. In me. And that's when it snapped. I wasn't going to get closure. I wasn't going to receive a confession. If I wanted the truth, I was going to have to dig for it myself. I started in the closet. Nothing unusual, until I got to her shoes. There they were, a pair of red heels. Expensive, barely worn. Ashley hadn't worn heels in months. Said her back hurt. Said she preferred sneakers. I moved to her vanity, where she always left her tablet. She never locked it. Trust makes you careless. I opened it. Email, nothing. Notes, nothing. Then I opened the photo gallery. And that's where I found it. A photo. Her, posing in a hotel mirror. Dressed for someone who wasn't me. A suite I didn't recognize. Timestamped, last Saturday. She had told me she was at Lacey's baby shower in Sacramento. I remember asking how it went. She said, it was sweet. A lot of pink balloons. Turns out it was a lot of red lace instead. I kept scrolling. Another photo. Her hand in someone else's. No face. Just enough to know it wasn't mine. Another one. Wine glass. Legs on a man's lap. All date stamped. All recent. She hadn't slipped. She'd planned this. Managed it like a second life. I closed the tablet, calm as still water. Not because I wasn't angry. Oh, I was lava inside. But because anger wastes energy. And I needed mine. I stood, looked at our bed one last time, and said aloud to the empty room. Okay, Ashley. Now I know. And that means you're mine again. Just not in the way you think. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of rage. I wasn't pacing or punching walls or dramatically pouring whiskey into a glass like some cliché. I just sat in the living room with the lights off, laptop on my knees, the blue screen illuminating the start of something strategic. I'd done the crying thing once in my life. Back when my dog died in college and I was too broke to bury him anywhere but the woods behind my apartment. This was not cry-worthy. This was clarity. They say betrayal teaches you who you really are. Turns out I'm not the guy who slinks off into the night. I'm the guy who rewrites the ending. By 3 a.m., I had passwords. Ashley's email, her backup email, her Pinterest account. Why not? Inspiration comes from strange places. She'd been lazy. Same password she used for our Hulu account, Blue Moon 24. Romantic. And stupid. I started digging. Emails first. Her inbox was a showroom of coordination, spa reservations, last-minute business trips that didn't exist, even an invoice for flower delivery, to Chase D, message, for last night. Still smiling. Still smiling. I copied everything. Made a folder labeled for the lawyers and backed it up 3 times. USB, cloud, and one flash drive I taped to the underside of the toilet tank lid like a scene out of a spy movie. Just in case. Next was her calendar. Oh, she was bold. Had their next trip planned. Seattle. Hotel confirmed. Dinner reservations booked at some swanky rooftop place called Zephyr. 5 stars. Romantic city view. Set for 2 weekends from now. Good. That gave me time. At 4 a.m., I made a list. Phase 1, isolation. First thing I did was change the Wi-Fi password. Childish. Maybe. But when Chase tried logging into our network while lounging in my bathrobe in my living room next time. Yeah, I wanted him to feel that digital cold shoulder. Then I pulled $6,000 out of our joint savings and moved it into an account Ashley didn't know existed. She always said money bored her. That's the problem with people like her. They confuse disinterest with superiority. But me? I paid attention. Always have. I made a spreadsheet of her spending habits 6 months ago when I thought we were just having a rough patch. Turns out, I was preparing for war. I called our mutual friend Stephanie next. Now, Stephanie's one of those people who knows things. Not because she gossips, but because people talk when she's around. They forget she's there. She once planned a surprise party for Ashley that even Ashley ended up helping with unknowingly. Steph, I said, do me a favor. Don't tell Ash we talked. Silence. Then, what did she do? That was all it took. Phase 2, documentation. I printed everything. Every photo. Every email. Every receipt. Chase's name showed up more than mine did. I put them in a binder like a yearbook of infidelity. Slid it into my briefcase like I was off to a business meeting with betrayal. Then I called a lawyer. Not some angry, billboard-type guy who promises to crush your enemies. I wanted quiet. Surgical. A man with reading glasses and ice in his veins. Mr. Holloway, I said when he answered. I need to make a clean exit, but I want to make sure I'm the one holding the keys when the door shuts. He didn't even ask why. Just said, come in tomorrow. Bring everything. I smiled. I'd be there early. Phase 3, shadowing. Here's the thing about people who lie for fun. They get comfortable. They assume no one's watching because they've convinced themselves they're smarter than everyone else. I started showing up to her office building unannounced. Sometimes just to bring coffee. Other times to drop off lunch. Her assistant would greet me with that smile that was half pity, half, you poor, clueless fool. But I wasn't clueless. I was casing the place. I learned Chase drove a charcoal BMW. Parked in the corner spot, furthest from the cameras. Of course he did. I watched them once from across the street. Her laughing at something he said, brushing imaginary lint off his sleeve. She didn't look like a woman caught in a mistake. She looked like a woman who'd already replaced the frame before removing the picture. Good. The arrogance would be her downfall. Phase 4, invitation. A week later, I sent her an email. Subject line us. Short. Sweet. Manipulative in the way only someone who knows your insecurities can manage. You were right. I wasn't listening. Can we talk over dinner next Friday? Just us. No blame. Just closure. She replied within the hour. I'd like that. Thank you for being mature about it. Mature. That word always made me laugh. Like keeping your voice even while your life caves in is the same as being okay. I booked a private room at Zephyr. Same night as their trip. I knew she'd shift plans. She never could resist narrative symmetry. The romantic callback. The new chapter symbolism. I told her to wear something red. She always did love red. And as I closed my laptop, the sun just starting to bleed through the blinds, I said to myself, quietly, calmly, let the final act begin. Friday came dressed in gray skies and tension. Rain had been flirting with the city all day, just enough to leave streaks on windshields and damp sidewalks. Like even the weather knew this night needed drama. I got to Zephyr early. Private room in the back, candlelight flickering low, soft jazz playing like the soundtrack to a polite betrayal. Everything looked perfect, intimate, tasteful, and just slightly claustrophobic. That was by design. Ashley walked in right on time. Always punctual, especially when she thinks she's the one in control. Her heels clicked confidently against the floor, red dress hugging her like an apology she didn't mean. Her makeup was soft, deliberate, like she was trying to look natural while erasing every ounce of guilt from her face. Logan, she said, with that careful, professional smile. This place is beautiful. You look nice, I replied. I knew you'd go with red. She sat, adjusted her napkin like it was a contract she was negotiating, then leaned in. So, she said, you wanted to talk? Yeah, I said. But not just yet. I thought we'd order first. No reason to ruin the wine. She smiled again, cautious this time. Fair enough. We went through the motions, menus, fake small talk, nods. I even made her laugh once, which only confirmed what I already suspected. Ashley had convinced herself this would be civil. Clean. She probably thought she'd walk out of here with a hug, maybe a parting compliment. But the thing about lying to someone for long enough? Eventually, you forget what they're capable of. Our food arrived. Hers, salmon with fennel and some trendy sauce. Mine, steak, rare. Simple. Reliable. Like the man she'd spent years overlooking. We ate in silence for a bit. Her posture relaxed. The wine helped, I'm sure. She started talking, casual, hopeful. Talking about figuring out what she really wanted, and maybe we rushed into things years ago. The language of soft exits. The kind of words people use when they're trying to scrub the blood off the knife while telling you it's for your own good. I don't expect us to be best friends, she was saying, but maybe someday we'll look back on this and... Hey, Ash. I interrupted, wiping my mouth calmly. You remember what you said in that email? About wanting closure? Of course, she said, blinking. That's why I'm here. Good, I nodded. Because I invited someone else who deserves that too. Her smile faltered. Someone else? She asked. Logan, what are you talking about? And right on cue, like music hitting a perfect beat, the door opened. Chase Donovan stepped in, looking confused, then annoyed, then scared. It was like watching a man realize he walked onto the wrong stage, but the audience already knew all his lines. Chase, I said, waving to the chair across from me. Glad you could make it. I figured if we were going to do this whole healing thing, it only made sense to include the man who helped break it. Ashley's face went stiff. She looked at Chase, then back at me. You invited him? No, I said. I summoned him. Big difference. Chase sat slowly, eyes locked on mine like we were playing poker, and he just realized I had the better hand. Look, I don't know what you think, he started. Save it, I said. Calm. Even. This isn't a debate. This is a presentation. I reached down and placed a folder on the table. The kind that lawyers love. The kind that ends marriages. Ashley didn't touch it. Emails, I said. Hotel bookings. Photos. Even a receipt from Zephyr. Last time you two were here, pretending I didn't exist. Chase looked away. Ashley didn't. She stared at me like she was seeing a different man for the first time. I could have gone straight to court with this, I said. But I wanted something better. I wanted you to see me choose not to yell, not to beg, not to fall apart. I wanted you to watch me walk through this fire in a tailored suit and leave you wondering how you ever mistook me for weak. Ashley swallowed. Logan. No, you don't get that tone anymore. You had the chance to be honest, to fight for this. Instead, you handed me to another man like I was a lease you were trading in. I turned to Chase. And you? You thought this would be clean. You thought she'd leave me, slide into your life, and nothing else would matter. But what happens when the woman who lies with ease is lying next to you? What do you think she'll say about you when the thrill wears off? He opened his mouth, closed it again. Smart. I stood. There's no big scene, I said. No screaming match. I've already filed. She'll be served Monday. You won't need to come back here, Chase. The Wi-Fi's changed, your name's off the lease, and the spare key you probably have doesn't work anymore. I turned to Ashley. I left the ring in the drawer. Didn't feel like carrying dead weight. And then I walked out. The silence behind me wasn't loud. It was surgical, precise. The kind of silence that follows truth when it finally stops knocking and kicks the door down. As I stepped into the cool night air, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. After I walked out of Zephyr, I didn't look back. Not once. Didn't need to. That part of the story, the dinner, the confrontation, the folder full of truths, they weren't the climax. They were just foreplay. Monday morning, she was served the papers at work, hand-delivered, while she was likely sipping overpriced coffee and trying to focus on quarterly reports. I heard from a mutual friend that she ran straight to the bathroom and didn't come out for 20 minutes. Chase wasn't there. Of course he wasn't. He'd stopped answering her texts by Sunday. I didn't block her. No need. Let her send what she wanted. I just didn't read them. My lawyer had access to everything now. We can talk, and this is a misunderstanding, and I never meant to hurt you. Lies don't get less rotten with repetition. Meanwhile, I changed the locks, canceled her credit card, moved her half of the stuff into a storage unit. With an access code I texted once, then deleted. I was polite, clinical. If she wanted to know what life without me looked like, she wouldn't have to wonder long to here's what no one tells you. When someone cheats, it doesn't just destroy the relationship. It sets off controlled burns through your entire social circle. Some people vanish. They don't want to pick a side, so they pick silence. Others come crawling out with apologies. I always had a feeling. I didn't want to be the one to say anything. Are you okay, man? My favorite was her college friend Melissa, who messaged me after the divorce filing went public. You deserve better. She was bored, not broken. I didn't reply. I just remembered it. Filed it under useful truths I'll keep, but never thank you for. The only one who stuck with me the whole way through was Derek. Lifelong friend. The kind of guy who doesn't say much unless it matters. We met up at a dive bar one night, a week after the storm had settled. You look lighter, he said, clinking his glass against mine. I feel lighter, I replied. She was a beautiful anchor. Derek grinned. So now what? Now what indeed? They didn't last. Ashley and Chase, I mean. I didn't dig for the details. They came to me. Apparently, once the drama dried up and I refused to play the villain, Chase started to see Ashley for what she really was, someone who thrives in chaos but can't handle the quiet. No storyline to play victim in. No battle to win. Just two people sitting across from each other, trying to fake what we once had. He moved out 6 weeks later. Left her a note. Not a fight. Not a tear. Just a sentence. You wanted freedom, not a future. Poetic. Really. I almost respected the guy for once. She tried reaching out again after that. A letter, this time. Handwritten. That surprised me. It sat in my drawer for days before I finally opened it. It was more the same. Regret, nostalgia, a plea for closure. Funny thing is, she never asked for forgiveness. Just understanding. That's when I knew she still didn't get it. This was never about her mistake. It was about how carefully she made it. A few months went by. The dust settled. People stopped whispering. I slept better. Ate better. Laughed more. One Saturday, I drove past the hotel from her infamous mirror selfie. It wasn't intentional. I was just headed to a friend's new apartment, and the road curved right past it. I looked up, saw the window, 3rd floor, corner suite, and shook my head. Not with sadness. With amusement. Because I used to think closure was a door you had to close gently. But it's not. Closure is realizing you never needed the door in the first place. You just needed to stop knocking. I kept driving. Didn't even slow down. Now, here's where the so-called cruel revenge comes in. I didn't ruin her life. I didn't destroy her career. I didn't leak the photos or humiliate her publicly. No, I did something worse. I rebuilt myself without her. Got a new place. Leaner. Sleeker. Quiet. I started running again. Joined a club. Made new friends, real ones. The kind who knew me for me, not for who I used to be with her. And then, about a year later, I got an invite in the mail. Ashley Donovan was hosting a self-growth seminar for professional women. The tagline? Rebuilding after betrayal. I laughed for a solid 5 minutes. Then I sent her a postcard. No return address. Just one sentence, printed in clean, simple text. You can't rebuild what you never valued. That was the last word. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because it reminded her I survived. And that, my friend, was always the part she never planned for.